These migrants that we spoke with here in the San Diego sector, they have crossed over 7 different countries to reach U.S. soil. And in the past 2 days, we've encountered hundreds of Chinese migrants living in 2 makeshift camps here on the border in Jacumba Hot Springs in San Diego County. Now, this sector here in San Diego has seen an unusual surge in the crossings by Chinese migrants. In October, agents here apprehended over 4,000 Chinese nationals. Now, compared to that same month last fiscal year, when agents only apprehended 329 Chinese nationals. A majority of Chinese migrants here fly to Ecuador because the South American country does not require a travel visa from Chinese citizens. In the first 9 months of this year, over 15,000 Chinese migrants traveled through the dangerous Darien Gap jungle in Panama that is controlled by criminal groups. Now, law enforcement sources telling News Nation that once Chinese migrants arrive in Mexico, smugglers can make up to $35,000 per Chinese migrant smuggled to the U.S. border. And this Chinese migration, as well as the other migrants crossing illegally in this sector, is straining resources here for the county of San Diego. In a couple hours, county officials here in San Diego will vote on whether the county will spend $3 million in taxpayer funds for migrant services.
Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. I'm your host, Richard Harmon. Today, I want to talk to you about the growing crisis that we currently have at the U.S. border. So we have a Congress right now and a Democratic Party who is really pushing to get a funding budget for Ukraine, for the Israeli war. That's going to cost roughly about $107 billion. But at the same time, the U.S. border is being overrun and resources are completely dry right now. So here in one of the videos we're going to hear about it, that the total crossings have just out of control. Right now, people are paying large amounts of money to get themselves an opportunity to be processed at the U.S. border. Overall, right now, the U.S. Citizen doesn't really understand the magnitude of this, right? So the healthcare system is getting ready to be overwhelmed. So we already had an issue with baby boomers retiring. We have a situation where you have 75 million plus baby boomers getting ready to need consistent health care. And then on top of that, you have about 3, 4, 5, 6 million people that are crossing into the country every year. We have shortages of nurses on a monthly, yearly basis. Hundreds of thousands of people are leaving the field on a consistent basis. We have a serious crisis that's going to come, and as a result, we're all going to be hindered by that. I can guarantee our rates are going to go up, as many people are going to be forced to continue to pay for the fact that many people are coming here and are actually contributing to the society. There were some issues before about how New York City had opened up a number of working visas for people, and out of 18,000, I think 1,500 people showed up to work or something like that. So the intention for a lot of people is that many are not here actually to work. Something that I've been thinking majorly about recently is they say that the cost of Mayor Brandon Johnson stated previously, he said about 70% of the migrants in New York are from Africa. And here in this video, we hear about that there's it's costing about $10,000 per African migrant to get to Colombia, where they eventually are transported from Colombia to the U.S. border. I'm a first generation American that is from West Africa. And in the nation where I come from, the average monthly income is about $200 or less. How are people gaining $10,000 to be able to travel is a question that I have. And you have, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these people who are receiving this amount of money, who are paying these people to move them from place to place. One has to ask, where is this money coming from? And who is it that's funding this whole process right now? And what is the intention overall of many of these people who are coming here? The U.S. is being led right now by a Trojan horse, and everyone is sitting down saying that there's no big issue. There's nothing wrong with people illegally crossing into your border. But how something begins, it normally tells you how it will continue to go long term. If you begin in a way that is cheating, you have to continue to cheat in order to cover up that you cheated in the beginning. If you begin things on the right foot, that's why the foundation is so important. And many of the issues that we're seeing right now are due to lack of foundation and the overall guidance of the country. I'm going to play a video, watch a little bit of this, come back and share after that. If it's your first time joining, please hit that like button, like, share, and subscribe. Here we go.
Because the mission is still very much alive. We have to make sure that this migrant crisis and this mission, as you all know, is an international crisis. In fact, we have to continue to plan ahead. It's imperative. This time last year, between November and December, 8 buses came. Between 2 months this time last year. We've received over 80 buses alone just in the month of November. And so it's clear that, forces that want to continue to send people to the city of Chicago, that have always been clear that we have to be forthright and plan ahead, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
So, Mayor, an outdoor encampment, whether it's at Brighton Park or the one at 115th and Halstead, you're still on that mission of finding an outdoor encampment.
Well, what our mission is to make sure that we are removing people off of the floors of police stations. And so we're still looking at brick and mortar. And this assignment, as I've put forth several months ago, where the base camp was an option for us to be able to address this crisis. That's the leadership that's required in this moment. That's the leadership that I've provided. So it's not just base camps, it's the continuous work to work with the faith community as we've done, but also to look at brick and mortar spaces. But we have to plan ahead, and part of that planning is looking at base camps.
Mayor, we haven't heard you state what your plan B is. What's plan B?
The plan is consistent with what I've been implementing from the very beginning. Here's the plan: to eliminate police districts as grounds for shelter. That has always been the plan. And that plan has consisted of finding brick and mortar locations, which we have stood up a new location darn near every single week. And mind you, that the international crisis that I've inherited, that the previous city council did not budget this particular operation for 2023. So we literally had to find brick and mortar locations, create a budget and an entire operation essentially from scratch. And so whether it's base camps at multiple sites, whether it's the faith community, whether it's the federal government, the state, county government, I have brought together all of these forces to address this crisis. Our plan is still the same, that we have to make sure that the federal government does its part to provide support for these individuals who are asylum seekers protected by international law. The state of Illinois went into a contract with Garda World building on this site, knowing full well that assessments were being handled. And keep in mind, whether it's brick and mortar spots, base camps, there's a location that I know that you all are reporting on, an old CVS, I believe it was. That was a site that the state of Illinois was looking at 6 months ago. I'm moving with incredible expediency. We can't wait 6 months before a decision is made in order for a site to be made available for a crisis that's happening today.
I think what he just said right there is a really interesting part. There's no intention at all to stop this. And, what they're saying is, how can we how can we navigate these issues, but know at all how to turn it off. If you have a house that's flooding or a toilet that's flooding, you want to turn off the source of the water. Any amounts of buckets or just scooping it off and dumping it somewhere else is not going to deal with the issue. The issue right now is that there is an endless supply of people in the world. America currently has 350 million, 330 million, and there are 7 billion people on the planet. If your only thought is to continue to find places for more people and more people to live, he said last year there were 8 buses that were coming, and right now there are 80 buses. We can guarantee as the spring season comes about and things become a little bit better, this is probably going to increase even greater. The issue right now is going to continue. At some point, we're going to run out of places where people can live, and that's going to become a whole different issue that many people aren't really considering. But we can guarantee that these people are going to need to live somewhere. The housing crisis that we're all aware of now has, people who will be able to or willing to pay if these places are converted. You get a house, you turn it into, instead of it being one big giant house, you turn it into 4-bedroom apartments, into one house, in the area, and all of a sudden you have, you sell it off $800 or $900 per piece, while you couldn't rent out the house for $3,000, you can rent out $800 per room to someone. This is coming, guys. This is coming for sure, and we're going to see, prices continue to increase. There's a need to increase your skill set. There's a need to develop and to find places where you do not think are important right now. But the car situation, there's going to be a huge need for people who are mechanics. There's going to be a huge need for people who are in healthcare, electricians, and if you work on housing, there's going to be a huge boom coming. And the federal government has already decided they're going to pay for it. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.